Adarsh?
Yeah, good morning. Sorry that I signed in my son's name. This is Shiva here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
What's your name, please?
Shiva.
Okay.
What it says Adarsh, but
Yeah, it's your son's name, I believe.
Okay, Shivagami. Oh, Shivagami, I think you connected on LinkedIn, no?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, sorry, I have to accept. I'm sorry, I just missed my thing, but I remember your name.
Yeah.
You are in the UAE, right?
Yeah. I was in Dubai.
Oh, you're not in Dubai now.
No, currently I'm in Madurai.
Madurai. Okay. What do you do, Shivagami?
Actually, I'm a civil structural engineer.
Okay.
And like I was there for around 12-14 years in Dubai. I had my own business.
Okay.
I was working for projects like supply of materials for the finishers and the civil consultancy. And for the last 3 years, I have changed my profile as a sustainability consultant.
Okay.
So somehow I felt like I was not fitting into that domain. Actually, I was so impressed with the last tutorial that was conducted by Mrinalini that was saying that you're locally tuned and responsive. Sorry, I'm just deviating from my introduction. That's something that made me change my career, you can say, because I was sourcing all the materials from China, Vietnam.
Very good. Nice.
Thailand, Turkey. That was my profile. I was visiting. I was traveling places. I used to sit with the industry. I used to make samples. I used to customize. I was working for prestigious projects. Everything was going fine. Suddenly, I felt like when I started working for the sustainability projects, this LEED certified and STM certified, I felt what I am doing. I'm traveling miles and I'm bringing some material from there and just for this and many thoughts. And I thought, no, this is not something that I wanted to do. And then I changed towards sustainability. Then I started with LEED. I have done STM consultation. And even then I felt my thirst doesn't end there. I felt like this is all just guidelines. The world needs more and more of that. So I started doing some small consultancy for my friends, projects like that, wherein I just try to tune them. No, this is not what exactly needed for interior decoration of a house. The way even my friends circle, they think like bring the granite from here, give me the perfect mosaic finish wherever in the world. If it is in Italy, glass mosaic, yeah, bring it for me. Like that, it was going. But now I'm trying to tell them also. But it's not that I'm successful in all my consultancy work, but I've started in a small way. And even in my home, I have started inculcating this to my 2 kids. They are just 10 years and 4 years old. This nature's pattern I have just stuck there in my son's whiteboard. I'm trying to inculcate to them. And some of my cousins say, no, you're crazy. What you're trying to do? Already you left a very lucrative career and you came here. And what you're going to do? And I have to know this is what is needed. And I just say, it's just back to basics. Let's everybody try. It's just a small water drop in the ocean, but everybody has to do this. So actually, I'm just enjoying the course. I was earlier with Structural Engineering Research Center as a scientist, Aramani, Chennai.
Okay.
So I was just contacting the directors there also because I have seen your name and biomimicry profile earlier when I landed in Tamil Nadu. I was trying to contact them and I was trying to say like if I can register in IIT Chennai as a student for this course alone, just make me do this and just find out some way. And my director was like, no, some time will come. I'll just let you know. And this NPTEL came and I just took the right advantage. And but I should honestly say, because of my commitments, or maybe it is an excuse, I'm not able to keep pace with the thing. Like I have still not identified the UN SDG goal, what they wanted to work upon. Although I have many things in the sustainability habitat that I'm currently doing, But still, according to the pace of the program, I'm not doing all the assignments. But honestly, I have started reading all the recommendation books that you give. And I'm just doing research in this, you can say. And I'm stopping with learning in the system. I'm just trying it to spread to the people around there. So people have already started saying, some are taking it in the right spirit. And some are like, no, where you are heading to in life. It's like that. But it's a very interesting journey for me, these 5-6 weeks, if you have to say.
So, Sivagami, thank you so much. Very, very good to hear this. The only thing is what we need to do is how do we take it further, right? So what has happened is it has influenced you at a personal level.
Yeah.
And that's what is reflected in what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, so the process of influence is, number one, you get inspired yourself, you get influenced yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then second thing that all of us wish to do is, now if I have been inspired, then how do I inspire others, right?
Yeah.
So inspiration is always on two levels: personal, which is towards us, and for others, which is very altruistic for other people. So one of the things that you can start thinking about is, now that I have been inspired by this, then how do I make other people inspired? Because Madurai, UAE, with the contacts you have, can you start teaching biomimicry? So if you want to teach biomimicry to children, if you want to teach biomimicry to a group of people, please let us know. Then slowly the word starts to, it's a very ripple sort of effect.
Yeah, correct.
And
yeah, I really wanted to do that, but I didn't know how to start with that. Honestly, I didn't know. Like initially, I feel I still have a lot to learn. Then maybe I definitely want to venture in that as well.
So don't worry about the amount of knowledge you have, because the knowledge is, so even if you know, let's say only one, let's say you just know one principle of nature, nature is locally attuned.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to have bags and bags and bags of knowledge in order to distribute knowledge. You can just distribute that one particular line. You can make an entire 1-hour program for school children with just one particular line. The line being, today I'm going to speak to you about nature is locally attuned. That's it. You don't have to talk anything else. Nothing else. Everything else falls into place. Once you say nature is locally attuned, then other things about nature start to fill in the puzzle. Many times when you would have noticed, even in personal conversations, you'll start talking about a movie, right? You'll just say, this is what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about a movie that I saw where there is this problem in the movie. Now that's your subject, but in that conversation, many other conversations start fitting in, right? And what you do is just go and ask the children to ask you questions. Don't answer the question. Just say, I want 20 questions today on nature. That's all. Collect all the questions, come home, speak to us, read a book or something, go back and answer the questions. So that's the way to teach. A teacher need not, so it depends on who you want to be as a teacher. Do you want to be someone who provides knowledge, or do you want to be someone who provides curiosity?
That curiosity.
So that's your, if your purpose as a teacher is to make people curious, then you need not know anything at all. You just have to go and stand in front of them and say, ask questions. That's it. Good. So Mini, that gives me an idea. I know that Rich Mohan wants something. I will do that. But before that, supposing we take all the 10 principles and find out which of those principles we can bring into our personal lives. Can we discuss that?
Sure. Let's do that. Let me just...
Rich, what do you say to that idea, Bridge and Satyam?
Yes, sir. Good idea, sir.
Because the 10 principles right now look very distant from us.
Yes,
so
sir.
how many of those 10 principles can we bring into our own personal lives? Like what Shivagami was saying, that she has started looking at sourcing local materials instead of traveling all over the world, which means she has brought something into her own professional life. So out of those 10 principles, what could fit into our personal or professional lives? This could be a nice discussion.
And actually, that's kind of one of the things that we always speak about, because many people think that this is only about biomimicry. It's not.
Yeah.
Because this is something that you can bring into other things that you do in your life as well. It need not be just when you are creating a biomimetic solution that you need to think of these things. And as Shivakami said, we can use it in other ways as well. I mean, even something as simple as, turning off standby appliances is actually an important aspect, and we don't realize it. We don't realize that can actually tie into these principles.
Okay, so the first one, where does nature use? Mrinalini is the expert here on the design principles. So we start with number one. Nature uses only the energy it needs and relies on freely available energy. Where does nature do this first? So three things, Mini. One is, where does nature use this? Second is, what is the meaning of this? And third is group discussion on how do we use it in our daily lives.
So Shiva, I think the first two we've just covered in 5 and 6. So I don't want to repeat the same thing.
No, let's do the personal thing, right? Let's try how we can bring it into our personal lives.
Right.
Can you just set the context for the first two?
Yeah, so nature uses only the energy it needs. And so there are two parts to this, right? Nature uses only the energy it needs, which means that organisms always use low energy processes. And that's the key thing, that you will never find an organism trying to guzzle energy in order to do any process or any activity, etc. They are very specific about the amount of energy uses, obviously because energy is an expensive resource. And relying on freely available energy, the sources of freely available energy in nature are, of course, sunlight, which plants use for photosynthesis, and then the waves and the air currents, etc. So this is the context of the fact that nature uses only the energy it needs, unlike humans, where we tend to use more and more energy because we know that it's available to us, and then we create processes that use more and more energy as well. So that's the contrast here, and we need to learn from that. And relying on freely available energy is not to spend more energy in order to get energy. So that's the other part of the statement. So given that, I think you have seen an example of that in the video of nature using only the energy it needs. I think the example we've given you is of the mobile phone charger, right, with the cycle. So yeah, so that's one thing. In fact, even in IIT Madras, we were talking about this because there are so many cycles. Students use so many cycles in IIT Madras, and they run to their rooms to charge their phones. So why not create something like this? When they are cycling to classes, they can actually charge their phone. So this is something that we are thinking about even on campus. So that's the first principle. And how do we bring this into our lives? Not just looking at it as something that needs to go into only when you design a process or something like that is what we can discuss now.
Any thoughts on how we can bring it in our personal lives?
So
yeah,
ma'am, please.
No, actually, like when I was telling you, I have put this and I was trying to inculcate in my personal life. So this how I took it to my 10-year-old son is like, don't use anything that requires electric power. So I'm just trying to set this example for the 3 weeks. It's a little change to conventional mode, like reduced use of mixie, and I am trying to teach him to wash his clothes, the electrical energy consumption. So I have taken it in that level, and I have taught him like minimalism. Just don't keep buying and cluttering things. I may not be right, but I'm just I'm saying it from my perspective. So this is how I was telling him. And we are trying to implement it every day, and me and my kids and some of my cousins' kids, we are enjoying this program actually. They are not able to see the video for a long time, but because they're able to go up to the video, I just make short things and I make them see and I tell them how they can do this. Like that I'm doing it.
Okay, that's nice to hear.
Shivagami, good. We must talk more about what you're doing. Mrinalini and I will get into a call maybe later, and very interested in finding out what you said now about the videos. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Let us know when we talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Bridge?
Yeah, so in my case, let's just to give a very small example. In our bedroom, we have a attached bathroom as well. So many times, rather than using AC in my home, I open the door of bathroom, attached bathroom, and put the fan on, and also this window. So the air comes from the window to room and goes out of the room. So that that way, I really avoid using AC.
Okay.
So that's.
I'm going to look at it completely differently. I'm not going to let external inventions like air conditioners and all that come into my life. Let's assume I'm looking at it from a personal angle, right? Now, I, as a person, am expending energy. I'm expending energy right now when I speak to you. I'm expending energy when I talk to my neighbor. I'm expending energy when I'm angry. When I'm expending energy when I scream when I'm driving the car, right? So all the time, from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I sleep, I'm expending energy all the time. Now, the question is, am I using it judiciously? And I'm not. I'm just learning it right now in front of you. This is teaching me that I'm not using my energy judiciously at all, because my life is very short. And I know that if I use too much of energy, my life is going to become, I have been told that if you're silent for a long time, you can increase your lifespan by some years because of the energy. Because when I use energy, my BP goes up. If my BP goes up, my heart gets to be tired. If my heart gets to be tired, the heart muscles will weaken. If the heart muscles weaken, I'll die faster than I should. So maybe there is a lesson here for the way I need to behave, right? So I'm looking at, instead of saying nature uses only the energy, can I say nature does not waste energy? So I'm asking myself, therefore, where are the things in my life where I'm wasting my energy? Maybe I'm walking to some places where there's no need to walk. I am shouting when there is no need to shout. When I am speaking when there is no need to speak, right? So I think that's what is really something that I'm going to learn. And I'm hoping that the five of us can get together and share on how we have reduced our own energy levels to similarly relies on freely available energy. I am probably not using other people's energy enough, right? Maybe I can use my listening skills here. Why should I talk when somebody else has the knowledge already? So when somebody is talking, instead of just keeping quiet and listening, why should I interfere and keep speaking to them? Because they're also saying something to me. So now, can I learn to listen more and talk less? And in the first instance, can I stop talking too much and start to talking less? Is my learning from here. And can I use other people's energy for things that I want to do? What do you say?
Very nice, sir. Yes.
Vinny, what?
Yeah, of course. And I think we can take that, a step further as well in terms of the activities and the tasks that we do during a day as well. Because many times, I mean, for example, when we are doing our regular activities, even if it's as simple as cleaning a room or getting from one point to another, I'm not just looking at the external energy consumptions that we do, saying, okay, can I walk instead of taking my car and things like that. But even about how we expend energy on things that we need not expend energy on. And that will actually help us do things faster. Because sometimes we don't, I guess some of it is due to lack of planning. And some of it is just because we don't think about it enough. So whether it is, it's something as simple as making something in the kitchen. If you actually keep everything ready and start, you will spend less time and less energy in actually making it. Similarly, if you're going to get some activity done, so this afternoon I have set for myself that I'm going to finish writing one chapter of something. If I plan that properly, the amount of energy expended is actually less. And if you this kind of what you do in manufacturing companies as well, right? Concepts of things like Kaizen, etc., where you're not going to waste energy while doing activities and make sure that you're doing it in the most efficient way possible. Because even if it is one person's or two persons actually expending that energy, it is a waste of energy. You are spending, let's say, X times more energy than what you could have done with X times less. And can we think about that consciously rather than saying, oh, it doesn't really matter, it's a small thing? Because all that does add to fatigue. It does add to boredom, because you'll think about, oh my God, I have to do this because it takes so much time and things like that. So I'm just extending that a bit more, saying, okay, can we consciously think about what is the best way to do it in terms of, energy expenditure?
I also,
Sir, the example which you gave, sir, is reflecting towards saving time rather than energy. I think you're focusing more on saving time, like talking less, listening more. This is more kind of saving time rather than energy.
yeah, correct. That's what I.
It's an effect of it, Satyam. Even what I said, it's kind of an effect of it. So we are trying to see, okay, do we need to spend that energy? Now the effect of it becomes that we are spending less time on it, therefore.
Correct. Correct. And what you said, Vinny, about preparing for things fits in well with the time thing, because when you don't prepare, then you run up and down last minute. When you do things in the last minute, you run up and down, you do this, you do that, so by spending.
Also, because when you're under pressure, you will just say, okay, ye chalega, kar dete hain, it just needs to get done. And you tend to use more resources, more energy as well. And again, I want to actually bring in the connectedness as well, because using energy is not about just using energy. It is connected to the other principles as well, right? So you are talking about use of resources as well. You are talking about, and the resources, one of them could be time, one of them could be materials, anything else. So there is a big interconnection between this. In fact, one of the exercises we love to give students is to draw a mind map connecting all the principles in the way they think it connects. Because that's really something that one needs to recognize if you want to imbibe this in your life as well. Because there is connections. It's not looking at each of these in separation.
Also, I see a connection between nature uses energy and nature runs on information.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So the more and more information I have, the less and less I will stress. I think there's also a connection between stress and the first one, my stress management and the first one.
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Very good, nice. Let's go to 2. Personal life, nature. Mini, set the context and we'll.
Yeah. So again, recycle all materials. I think it's pretty evident as to what we are trying to talk about when you say recycling. One of the concepts we like to talk about here is, in nature, most of the things get upcycled as well. So you have this example we've given you: a tree is decaying, and then the fungus or the mushroom grows on it, and then some animal eats that fungus or mushroom. That animal is eaten by, let's say, a hawk, and the hawk is. So you are actually having an upcycling of materials and energy that happens, and it kind of comes back to the earth, so to speak, right? So that's kind of what we are talking about, rather than the use and throw that we see everywhere in human life. So that's something that we can. I think the consciousness of this is a fairly widespread nowadays, because people do talk about recycling, people do talk about upcycling, etc. You have communities that do it, you have NGOs that promote it, etc. But I think it needs to go beyond what we are thinking of right now, because right now it's just about, don't waste paper, take all the old papers, recycle it, make it into something, recycled paper, make cardboard out of it or whatever, and then take your old clothes and make them into bags. But I think it should go beyond that as well. It should go beyond, even these appliances, right? You have your phone and your plastic appliances, we're just throwing them, right? Now, Apple is going to announce iPhone 14, and then everybody is going to throw their old phones and take that, and that phone is just thrown. And Maybe in India, we don't see it as much because there is more recycling that happens in India because we don't like to throw away our things. We try to repair them and all that. But I wouldn't say that we are good at it because there is a lot of waste that happens, especially the use of single-use plastics that we do. And we are getting aware of it, but not aware enough. Because even when, and this is something that we heard from somebody we spoke to in MHRD as well, saying that you have all these entrepreneurs who come with great ideas of how to do something, but they don't think about how they are manufacturing it. So again, they are just taking plastic and creating some product, and they don't realize what will be the end of life for that product. And so you end up, just adding to the problem, even though you started with a very noble intention of doing something in a better way or in a more efficient way, etc., etc. And that's, I think, something that we need to develop consciousness of, especially, and what Shivakami was saying, the younger people. Because these are the folks 20 years hence who are going to be the leaders of tomorrow. And they need to understand this very well. And when they are the VPs of companies and when they are leading companies, they need to say that, okay, I will not go for this process because it's going to lead to wastage. I will not look at this product because we are not thinking about how to manufacture it better. We are just adding to the waste that it's just going to add to the waste tomorrow in our landfills. So this is something that the consciousness needs to go deeper than what we have now, is what I think. Because right now it's just about, doing a few things like what I already mentioned. It needs to go beyond that. And truly, I don't think we have found good alternatives to plastics, because obviously you can see so many plastics. I mean, I look around my room, I can just see plastic everywhere, right? If you had a lens which only locates plastic in your room, it will just go red everywhere, because everything is plastic and most of it is not biodegradable. And so therefore we need to really, I think, think more about how we are doing this. And it should go beyond just single use or things like that. Truly look at materials, truly look at things that we can recycle, upcycle, etc. And that's what I think we need to think about here.
Nice, very passionate.
Yeah, because this is something I really think we have not done enough on.
Rich and Shivagami.
Yes, like whatever ma'am says is it really resonates with us. And everywhere, what ma'am is saying is everywhere plastic. Maybe I was thinking about all the manufacturers, whatever they are making. Maybe if government put some tax on them, kind of, okay, if you are producing or you're packing your material in, say, thermocol or something, then you have to have this much money to be paid from your profit, after profit, something like that. Then only they also think about forcefully to kind of really address this issue in the packaging of things like that.
Sure. No, it's a very good point. How do we bring in policy changes in order to do this as well? So that's a very good point, and we can think about it for others as well, because that's always a problem. Immediately there will be, several industry bodies that will start protesting, saying, oh, this is not something we can do, blah, blah, give us more time and things like that. So how do we bring in policy for that?
Yes, ma'am. And I also recall in my wife's school here, they were working with IIT Madras some time back to use this coconut husk as a packing material. So the outer shell of the coconut can be used which rather than using thermocol balls, something like that.
Right. Yeah. Also, this all this online delivery that happens. I mean, I'm really appalled at the amount of plastic and that comes. You order one small dabba and it's wrapped in 2 layers of plastic, and then it's in a plastic bag, and then it comes in a cardboard box. Okay, the cardboard box can be recycled, but so much material, so much energy is being wasted to deliver one chota dabba to my house. So that's really, every time I see it, I feel bad about ordering online. But then we always go for convenience, right? So we are like, okay, I'm sitting at home, I can get this and that at home. So we don't think about that beyond that. So
yeah, and ma'am, I saw some documentary or some movie. There was one girl in Thailand, someplace. the kind of lifestyle she is leading, that hardly any wishes from her side. Even she goes to market not to buy a package thing or other loose items.
Right.
So in a month, her garbage is only one jar. That's it, nothing else.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
I think, yeah. Actually, there are some grocery stores that have started doing that. So instead of plastic packaging, dal, atta and all that, they have these huge jars. You come and bring your own dabba and fill it up and go, so that you don't waste plastic packaging and things like that. Actually, there were a couple of startups in Chennai that were doing that. Unfortunately, they couldn't sustain it beyond a certain point. So, yeah. So these business models, again, think of innovation in these business models as well, because unfortunately that company, I think it was called Green something, and they couldn't sustain it because obviously the business model was not able to, was not thought out enough. And even that is something that we can think of. How do we innovate on those so as to make such businesses sustainable? Because yes, end of the day, if there are not customers, there are not paying customers, businesses can't survive, right? So we need to think about that as well.
Like I would like to add to this, Manali, like the one you were saying, that some businesses are trying to make the people bring the containers and then sell the products. Actually, I would summarize this. That's why I always tell, like whenever I interact with kids, I tell it's back to basics. Initially, this was going like this everywhere in our community. Like when you have to go and buy something, we didn't have all these plastics or cloth bags or anything. They used to have take small container that they have, buy everything like a butter system and bring it back to house. In the name of technology and modernization, we have gone way ahead. Now we are thinking how we have to go back to basics to minimize all the things that have created. So I just try to do this brainstorming also to when I sit with them. Like just think of one problem and say how it was done by your grandfather's father, how it would have happened. Like I take them to civilization level and they say how they did it when there was no such thing. Yeah, that's what is essentially needed now also. It's a kind of decentralized, not decentralized, I say, like localized life. Locally, like buy everything from here. We are supporting someone nearby rather than traveling places and doing such things.
Sure. I would caution there, Shivakami, also, but that remember that folks in the past lived without an awareness of many of these things. So some of the things that they were doing were not with the awareness that they are generating waste for the future. So I think we need to be conscious of that as well, and not just say that whatever was old and ancient is good and therefore we should start using it. Because I see this problem in many places where they just start saying that, what our dadas and pardadas were doing is great, so we should start doing it. But remember that in the quest to do that, you are actually not conscious about what kind of problems that was creating as well. So you need to look at it in the context of this and say, okay, this was a good practice, but are we missing something in terms of, let's say, even the energy wastage or the materials thing? And can we make it, adapt it in a correct way so that we are not, doing this, repeating the same problems. So that's kind of what I would say. Just as a caution, nothing else.
And even for this recycling that we were talking about, I was trying to do this in the college that I studied. Actually, I graduated from Anna University, but I did a UG in Coimbatore. So I was just trying to talk to one of my professor, and during this Corona times, I was just trying to tell him, like, if we can just collect the mobiles, laptops that are lying reused, they have 2-3 many families, and they don't use the tab and everything. And just the students, if they can using their knowledge, if they can just mend it and distribute it to wherever it is needed. It's a small level, but we can start it from there, from local level, or you can say micro level. Then from there, they will build it. So why don't we do it like in colleges level? Anyway, there are students studying electronics or electrical, whatever it is. Maybe they may not know how to mend it, or it's like a practical lesson for them as well. If you ask me how to mend a tab, I may not know. But a student in third year or fourth year, definitely it can be learning experience also from him.
Sure.
So we are talking about the end result, how to recycle the end, like if it just electronic e-waste, and before that at the grassroots level, even this can be done. It adds another advantage also, like taking a trash and making it useful for others who has a real need.
Right.
This can be done very easily. Like you don't need any government order or anything. Many colleges can take this, and maybe this kind of thing has to come as a part of the curriculum or part of the daily routine. If you're able to inculcate that, then there is nothing like that. Because I have seen in UAE 2 or 3 schools, the small kids, they have inculcated, like even from the KG level, like when you interact with those kids, you feel like, wow, this is the way the next generation have to grow up.
Right.
And when you pointed out about the recycling, like it is not just recycling the plastic or newspaper. Initially, they also started like that. Kids will bring the empty milk bottles, and they have installed one machine wherein if you put that, you will get like a pencil box like that. They started something like that.
Right.
And they started giving smiley points because that's what attracts younger kids. So smiley points, like today, if you switch off unnecessary electrical appliances, click them off before you sleep, you get this many smiley points. And teachers have inculcated in the kids' mind, like that is how you rate yourself, not on the marks.
Right.
Today, how much thing you did. So small things, but it can be
Sure. No, I think I agree with you over there. And the other thing is, this has to go beyond just feeling cool about it. You know, just people should not just get the illusion that they are doing something good and not go beyond that. Because I remember this clearly, that there was a conference in which they gave this, they gave these pens, which were recyclable and all that. It had one nice wooden thing, and then it had only the tip was, not wooden. Everything else was wooden and looked very nice. They said recycle. And if you just break it and see inside, it's a plastic pen. So it's so sad that you're just doing something for namesake, just to make people feel good that, I have contributed to the environment. And unfortunately, this is not the exception. This is kind of, most of it is just about feeling good about oneself by doing 1 or 2 token activities. I think it needs to go beyond that. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about that. All right. Yes, Shiva, please.
So for me, again, I was looking at it at a personal level, Mrinalini. Asking myself, in my case, what are the 2 things I can do for recycling?
Right.
One of the things I was saying, I don't know, I'm getting very interested in this concept of natural burial, right?
Okay.
How do I, after I die, if I want to be, I know that my body, once it's dead, can give nutrition to a lot of other organisms around. But right now, the way it is done is either I'm cremated, which means there's nothing at all, just ash. I'm sorry, this is a little, I hope it's okay, right, to talk about these things?
Yeah, of course.
If it's sensitive, I won't speak.
Okay with me.
Okay, sir.
So with cremation, there's nothing. And with burial, I put in one nice big dabba, which is again cut trees, and it's not decomposable and all that, and remains underground for the rest of its life. So I am getting very interested in a new topic called natural burial, where your body is shrouded in a very biodegradable sort of cloth, and you're just sort of put into the ground. That's all. And your body starts to give nutrition to other organisms. I got this idea because when I learned about a tree after it dies, when a tree once it dies doesn't stop being useful. Lot of small ants, lot of small birds take shelter in the tree. Lot of new things start to grow out of the tree. Mushrooms start to. So the tree, when it dies, actually gives away all the energy, all the nutrition it has to other trees. It's something I was thinking about. There are very few people in the world who are practicing natural burial. Maybe I can start with myself. I'm wondering what I should do. Where is it's the law? No, I'm not talking about safe. Satyam, look at the literature on it. There is a way to make it safe and all that.
So Satyam, there is something called green burials that people are doing. So it's not just, I think the important thing here is to find out the concept that is being said.
Correct.
And if there are any problems, they can always be addressed. So we can't just reject an idea saying, oh, there could be a problem. So how do we solve the problem? That's what we have
And
to do.
start a conversation around it.
Yes.
Today, maybe 2 people, the next 100 years, maybe about everyone doing it, because, so that is one thing. The other thing is, again, I was thinking about organ donation, because I was saying that if I don't give my eyes and my kidneys, then soon what will happen is, because of the technology that we have, we'll start making artificial kidneys, artificial eyes, using plastic, just like what Mrinalini was saying. We'll start using plastic and materials to fix eyes and artificial kidneys. But supposing all of us started to give away our organs, then the demand for artificial organs will decrease, right? For instance, apparently skin is the most in demand of all organs that we have. And because there's not enough skin and all that. So there is a website, just for your information, an Government of India website.
So it's called NOTO, N-O-T-T-O. Yeah.
NOTTO. It's called NOTTO, where you can apply to NOTTO and tell NOTTO what is it that you want to donate after your death. And they give you a nice card. I have the card with me. And there you can tick off everything that you want to donate. And that's, so therefore, there is no problem saying either and all those things. So I was thinking about that. I don't know whether it fits in with this principle, but I was thinking maybe it's a nice forum to bring it out to.
Of course, I think when we are talking about imbibing these principles in our life, Shiva, I think this is definitely pertinent.
Only thing, we're going to have a cultural backlash.
Yeah, so that is, of course, again, as I said, yes, there will be problems for everything. There will be problems. And I think as innovators and as change makers, we have to think about how to overcome those problems and not just say that there is a problem, so we won't do it. So, yeah.
What is your view, Shivagami and Bridge? What are your views?
Yeah, this is actually an information for me, NOTTO, because I have already told my family that they just have to donate whatever is possible. Yeah, I'll just get it registered. But I didn't think that it fits in this context. Yeah.
You didn't think what?
It fits in this context. Recycling, yeah. For organ donation, I didn't know like there is such registration that can be done. Yeah, that's actually a valuable information for me. And definitely, yeah, as you said, now it will be just few talking, but it will start influencing people. People will also start thinking when you share this information, not the first day, maybe at some point of time, situation will provoke them to think this, and definitely this is also one of the best option. Yeah.
Right.
Bridge, what do you?
Yes, sir. I also feel the same thing. It is a really very interesting point. I read somewhere that even medical students also don't get bodies to study on.
Correct.
There's less of so which they should be. That's one point. Yes, and a second point was I also saw some place in Northeast India. Some place there's one person who made mirror kind of thing which can bring all solar energy in one place. The burning of body will become faster. No need to cut a tree. Not a single tree required. Yes. So rather than having lenses together, mirrored as a parabolic shape, big huge shape, and it is the temperature become very high, about plus 1000. Yeah. Right. That's how this thing. And in Parsi community, yes. Correct. It is a part of their the culture itself. So that's also one nice. But it's a good point that also let me also enroll in the NOTTO site. Yes.
I'm sure the government of India is very happy with this program.
That he can give his bones for making this, and why can't we? Yeah.
Correct. Good. We'll all share our Noto cards with each other.
Yes.
I think we have our phone numbers in the list, right? So we'll get in touch with each other.
Very nice.
We'll form a small group. I wanted to start a small biomimicry champions group. and Biomimicry fans group, Biomimicry champions group. Slowly the group, maybe now there are just 4, but 4 will become 8, 8 will become 12 and all that. So maybe if you can share the numbers. I think the numbers are there, Nomini, on the list.
What numbers?
4 numbers of each, contact numbers.
I'm not sure, actually. I don't remember that.
No, in the application, I think they had.
Right, right. Yeah, of course. Yes.
And the third number of this nature, like if I go to next one, maybe, I think it's like Sthit Pragni, what they say. Gita says Sthit Pragni. At whatever happens, we have to be, kind of stand still or Sthit Pragni.
Right, right.
Prajna, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't, yeah. So therefore, see, this is a very motherhood statement. Nature is resilient to disturbances.
Yes.
Motherhood. Come on, I mean, I have been trying to look at this statement. I'm not sure whether I can. For me, being disturbed is a very natural way of reacting. And resilience is what I think we are talking about, right? Coming back, being born again, bouncing back.
So Shiva, I don't think this is about disturbed as in disturbed, but it's talking about how do you handle changes, whether they are gradual or drastic, and recover from those.
Correct.
So those changes, typically those changes tend to be disruptive. So how do we reduce that disruption? And I think it's the 4 principles that are really the key here, of how nature handles it. Diversity, redundancy, decentralization, and self-renewal and repair. So can we imbibe these principles rather than saying that, okay, if something happens, then it's going to, blow up on our faces type of thing?
Lamini, I was saying here I cannot do much about the disturbance itself.
Exactly.
Because I cannot control it.
Correct.
But I can go to the resilience part and try to find out how I can handle that.
And I think that is the point of this principle itself.
So what are the
point of this principle is the bounce back. Sorry, I just need to connect my adapters. Give me a second.
Just tell us the 4 things. That's very interesting.
Sorry, I just need to connect my charger. 1 sec.
Yeah. So
Hello.
Yeah.
So I think the example is there, of course, but I'm just repeating it. So
Hello.
there is.
Type it in.
There is no changes. Then how will we in life?
Sorry, someone's saying something I can't hear.
Yes, I was saying that if we are resilient to changes in our life, then how will we improve in our life? If we are resilient to changes or disturbance, we will remain.
That is part of improvement, Satyam. So if you're resilient to changes, it doesn't mean you're not improving. So the thing here is that you don't let that disturbance, what should I say, derail anything. That's the whole point there.
Satyam, it's like this. Supposing I am used to having, let's say, 5 lakh rupees a month for spending, right? And suddenly that 5 lakh becomes 5,000 rupees because I've lost all my money. Then how do I succumb to that difficulty, or do I face that difficulty and become a different person who is able to lead his life within that 5,000? That's what it really means. The disturbance in my life is coming down from 5 lakhs to 5,000. The resilience is, how do I cope with that? How do I cope with that change in my life? And it happened to me personally in my life, so I can vouch for it. There was a time when I had to submit myself and become very depressed and all that. But you also tell yourself, no, I need to fight this. I need to bounce back and try to live within my means. So that's what we're talking about. How does nature do that? When there is a fire in nature, the fire destroys the entire forest. How does the forest come back to life? Yes, Minnie. What are the 4 things?
Yeah, I've just typed it in. You can see that.
So diversity, acha, okay. Redundancy, what is redundancy?
So having something that's available, okay, in a very crude way, you can say like a backup. So
Like a backup.
backup.
Yeah.
In a crude way, it's not the real meaning, but that is you have more than one thing to take care of a function or an activity or something like that. That's what it means.
So you make dependency lesser.
Yeah. So it's not all like not putting all your eggs in one basket. That's kind of the whole thing. And I think the example that you got of the forest, the pine cone thing, we've also spoken about that example, about two different types of cones, the special cones and the regular cones, and all of them, working in their own way. So when there's a lot of heat, etc., it's the special cones that actually work. Otherwise, it's the regular cones that work. So that kind of incorporates all these principles as well.
So decentralization is
not having everything, all functions, all tasks, all activities in one, concentrated on one entity, but multiple entities actually doing that.
Like delegation of work.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Yeah, that also fits in very well with nature uses. When you're doing all the work in the house, I'm sure Shivagami will agree with me, right? When you're doing all the work in the house, you seem to use too much of energy. That's a very nice one. So how do we distribute our own work and responsibilities and all that?
So you kind of, distribute it is the correct word. And also, I think the whole, the point here is some of it tends to, some of these lessons tend to come very well into computer science. And I can say that from personal, because we tend to use it a lot in computer science, these kind of concepts, maintaining redundancy, having decentralization in IT systems, etc. We tend to use it a lot, but not so much in other things. I don't know why that happens. Not so much in actual structures in an organization. And, this is even whether we are talking about leadership, whether we are talking about teams, whether we are talking about organizational structures, hierarchies, etc. We don't think about these things at all. And I'm sure Shivakami and Bridge and Satyam, having been part of an organization in your own ways, will agree to what I'm saying. There tends to be power and responsibilities and duties concentrated into individuals, and the system suffers for it. I mean, we can see this in our government, the functioning of our government. We can see this in the functioning of all the organizations that we interact with in our daily life, electricity board, water board, everywhere we'll see these things. And that's what I said, in computer science, we think about it a lot when we build systems. I have done it personally, so I know that we do think about it a lot, but we don't think about it outside of it as much as we should.
And self-renewal and self-repair.
Yes. So, yeah. So I think this also about how does I guess it's about trying to build the capacity to start rebuilding on your own. So can we have these blocks available to you that make it easier to start rebuilding rather than starting from scratch type of thing?
Yeah.
Of course, it's very difficult to give a general formula for it, because I think it will depend on the system that you're talking about, but that's kind of it.
I think here it's about how equipped are we to face loss in our lives, right? How equipped are we? There is a very powerful technique called the yellow hat technique, where you actually use yellow hat to find out the positive things about something going wrong in your life. For instance, supposing all of us lost our jobs today, what is the good thing about it? Anyone? What is the good thing about it? Suppose all of us lost our jobs. Bridge Mohan, you get a call from your MD saying, sorry, Bridge, don't come to office tomorrow.
So I recall one line from Kabir. Bhala hua मेरी मटकी फूटी, मैं पनिया भरन से छूटी. Like in Sufi, like we say, it's good that okay, my pitcher or the water pitcher has broken. So okay, with that, my one of the task is over. I will not fill the water now.
Nice.
Basically, like he's saying more time. Yeah.
So I think that could be something to do with self-repair and self-renewal, right? Self-renewal, I think I'm not sure, but self-repair, I think we could be being prepared for loss, being equipped to prepare to deal with loss is something that that I'm thinking. Maybe you people have a different. What about Shivagami?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, like I could relate here this systems thinking, that bird's eye point of view also. Maybe if I'm not wrong in the context, these are all related. Like when something strucks you, it's like when you say it's a loss of a job, it's like you have the 10 hours of working, you have the 10 hours of working for yourself to self-improve. You use all your energy for yourself. It's like that.
Right.
Yeah, and it's from a bird's eye point of view. If you see, yeah, just come out of that and see you have other blessed enough things to see for yourself.
Okay.
Nice.
Actually, that systems thinking is also one thing. Like I've learned many a times as, but this video it changed my perspective in many ways. Yeah, but I'm trying to do that also in a small, easy way that is understandable for the younger age group as well. I'm trying to do that also.
Which video?
The systems thinking that you are telling, the bird's eye point of view.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Maybe at some point of time, we'll let you know. I want to start a course on systems thinking, and there is something called 14 Habits of a Systems Thinker. 14 Habits of a Systems Thinker is called watercenter.org. You can go to that center, and then if you have any doubts on that, please write to us separately. We will help you with that, because right now I'm teaching that at IIT Madras. I'm teaching systems thinking habits, and that's very useful. That very strangely, everything that all of us are saying fits in everything. All the connections are coming through.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a small clarification. It's Waters Center, as in CENTER, not TRE, and ST. Watercenterst.org, not just Water Center.
Water Center for Systems Thinking.
Yes, correct.
So just look at that and try to find out if you can make sense. Otherwise, let me know. I will send my class videos, lessons, and all that, and we can have a discussion on the habits. And also look at something called mental models. Mental models are how we think about the world. Each one of us has a different mental model in the way we look at the world. So mental model again fits in very well with biomimicry, because we think nature can be destroyed. The mental model of most people is that nature can be destroyed. Nature is there to serve us. Nature is our servant. But so mental models is something that we can learn together. Both systems thinking and mental models. Last week I was the victim of a mental model. Mental model is apparently where when you go to buy something, the salesman places a particular thing inside your head, right? So for instance, supposing I go to a shop and I look at the clothes and say 300 rupees per shirt, and the next shop says it was 1,000, now 300. I will go to the next shop. So by saying it was 1,000, he has put an anchor in my head. It's called the mental model of anchor, ANCHOR. So he has put an anchor in my head saying that it was 1,000, now it is 300. So I went to this hearing aid shop last week, and there he was showing me hearing aid. He said, a hearing aid that costs you 2 lakhs. That's the first picture he shows you. 2 lakhs 50,000 hearing aid. You will be able to hear everything around you. You will feel it so natural, the way he spoke to me. So I got completely victimized. I said, wow, I can get back my entire hearing. And then I asked him some more questions. Luckily, Mrinalini was there with me, who asked him a lot of questions. And then we brought down that 250,000. Can suppose I buy this, can I hear? He said, yes, sir, you can hear. His voice is going down and down. If I buy this, you can hear? Yeah, you can hear. Are you saying I cannot hear music because of this? No, you can hear music. I cannot hear anything in the car because of this. Yeah, this also you can hear in the car. So 250,000, we brought it down to 55,000 per hearing. So all the people, they do that. So it's a beautiful mental model I learned last week. Even among family members, we do that, right? We put a mental model in our children first. Say, if you go out to play, you will hurt your legs. And the children for the rest of their lives never do anything to go out, right? So it's a beautiful mental model. So we can learn mental models together. And very, very fits in well with biomimicry. Mrinalini?
Yeah. So I think mental models itself is a very fascinating, subject, because it allows you to recognize how you are perceiving the world around you. And many times when we have conflicts, many times when we have arguments, the recognition that the person who I'm having a conflict with is having a different mental model than mine. And it doesn't mean mine is correct and theirs is wrong. Just that awareness actually will lead to a better resolution. I think personally, I have found that. Because many times in a conflict, we just want to say, I'm right, you are wrong, I'm right, you are wrong. But if you start saying, okay, this person is operating under a different mental model, they think that this is okay because their mental model is this is fine. And let me give you an example. It's about looking at, having this wearing the mask for COVID type of thing. Most people don't want to do it. And my mental model is you have to think about public health as an important aspect of it. But the other person thinks that socialization is more important. So then when I recognize that, okay, it is a mental model which is different. It's not about I am right, you are wrong. Then we kind of come to, okay, how can we resolve this entire difference of opinion in the first place?
Very good.
So
Thanks.
I think that's also an important thing to recognize, that what we are differing on is the mental models that we have built. And who is to say that this is correct and that is wrong? So just recognize that and then work with it is probably what one big learning from mental models has been for me personally.
What is that mental model where you think the worst of a situation? Supposing my son is late by 10 minutes. Immediately, I think he has got into an accident. Well, actually, he may be stopping at a petrol bunk to fill up the gas. So I always think of the extreme thing. There's a name for it, Hanlon's razor.
Yeah. I think it's called Hanlon's razor, I think. I'm not sure.
Occam's razor.
No, Occam's razor is when you look at the simplest explanation.
Yeah. So Occam's razor, go ahead, Nee.
So Occam's razor is when you are having a situation in front of you, always look at the simplest explanation rather than the most complicated explanation. So therefore, if you come into a room and let's say the cup is broken and there's a child there, it's most likely that the child broke the cup. Then the child will say, no, the cat came in and the cat, knocked it off. But you're saying the door is locked. No, the cat actually came in and then shut the door. So instead of looking at complicated explanations like that, you look at the simplest explanation. And of course, this is a made up example. But if you look at, in our lives as well, when you're looking at situations, examining problems, it's the simpler explanations that tend to fit rather than the more complex explanations. So always look at the simpler explanations first rather than the complex ones. Is Occam's razor, OCCAM, I think. That's how it's
OCCAM razor.
Yeah, razor. So razors are also, there are several such razors which you use to understand mental models. So Occam's razor is also used, in diagnosis as well, in the medical field.
Yeah, medical field.
So Satyam can kind of maybe talk about it because he's studying right now in medicine.
The doctors
look at a simpler explanation for why a certain patient is experiencing certain symptoms and find out, what is the simplest explanation for this, rather than coming up with a complex diagnosis saying it is a bunch of, whatever. I mean, I can't give you an appropriate example because I don't have the medical.
You can remember the doctor, you said something, remember that in the neck, the doctor detected something in the neck and.
Right. So let me give you an example. So there is, I do remember this. So there is this person who's a doctor and he went to fill gas in his car. And he knows the person at the gas station, the petrol station very well. So he was talking to him and he saw that he had these little small bumps along his hairline. So he said, he said, I don't know what it is. So the doctor said, I think your kids have lice, you know what you say, Jew. And those lice.
What is that? Pain. Tamil.
Yeah, lice. 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 In Hindi, it's called Jew. So because your kids have lice, you are sleeping with your children on the same bed, and those lice have laid eggs around your hairline, and that's what it is. So just get some medication to remove the lice and it will be fine. So typically it's the simplest explanation, right? And you can imagine sometimes unscrupulously hospitals, what will they do? They will make you cancer. They will make you do MRI, CT, God knows what else, and scare you completely. And you know, that's kind of Occam's razor. I think we need to apply it more in our lives. And ever since I've learned it, I've kind of tried to practice it as much as I can. So yeah.
Can you spell that word for me?
OC, I'll just type it out here.
Yeah.
So what we are really talking about, Sivagami, is mental models and systems thinking. Because you brought in systems thinking, I thought I will fill up the lot of things you learn in systems thinking. So many things. It can be a life-changing subject. So just look at the Water Center 14 habits and look at the mental models. Just go to mental models, Google mental models, and you will, and we'll have great fun learning it. And also teaching it, because you seem to have, immediately you're teaching it to people around you. You can learn one habit and teach it to your, and we can make a course out of it.
Sure. And I think you will find that the best way to learn something better is to start teaching it, because automatically your understanding of it improves.
So the questions they throw at you.
Exactly. It gives you that better understanding of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So just a correction here, that the thing about looking at the worst thing has happened, that is not Hanlon's razor. Hanlon's razor is a different one. Hanlon's razor is a very interesting one, which says that don't attribute something to people trying to gang up against you or conspiracy against you. It's not, see, typically we think when somebody is doing something, they think, oh, they are against me. They have some vendetta against me and things like that. He's saying it could just be that they are busy with something else. So somebody doesn't pick up our call and we think, oh, they don't like me anymore. They are ignoring me and things like that. But actually it is something else. And sometimes it's just, even in organizations, especially, this happens a lot because there are people who are interacting all the time, and people generally tend to have this political, groupings that happen. So Hanlon's razor actually is talking about that, saying that don't have unlikely expectations for human behavior. That's kind of what it says.
Also, yeah. In organizations, especially, if you find that your colleague is speaking lots to the boss in his room, you know that you think that the boss is going to give him a promotion and not to you, right? You think that fellow is also it happens for me. I learned this mental model in road rage. I used to get very angry with people when they are driving the car, when people are cutting across. And then I learned that the person who's cutting across is not against you. He may be having a very important work. He may have to go and drop his son in school, and therefore he's cutting. It's not as if he's trying to, murder you or shout or purposely crash into you, make you die. He's just in a big hurry for something else, right? And suddenly we start learning that we are ascribing unnecessary emotions to people when it's not true at all.
I think mental models by itself is fascinating because it forces you to examine the motivations behind why we do many things. And then you start understanding, thinking and behavior better.
All right, very good. Time
I
up.
think we may have to continue next time because we have, we're
Very
kind of,
interesting.
yeah.
Just to add one more personal story here about
Please.
the self-repair and the first line, nature uses only energy.
Yeah.
So just to share one thing that currently for about 2 weeks, I am having only 2 times food. That's it, nothing else.
Oh, okay.
Morning and evening, nothing else in between, nothing after that. So
Okay.
I'm feeling very energetic, yes, and also like one dinner is totally avoided, and the lunch shifted to evening time.
Okay.
That's a nice one. That's
Yes.
a
So
nice
this is
one.
the intermittent fasting. you're
Yes,
using.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So for first few days, I had some issues. I had headache and all. Slowly, half an hour, shifted lunch to the evening time.
Okay.
And now perfectly okay. There's no issue. Yes.
Right.
So
right.
I believe that it will help me in self-repair of my body, maybe a better weight, and
Good.
also like yeah.
Nice.
Actually, that's something that's recommended for diabetics, etc. as well. So there could be an element of self-repair because they say that your insulin problem can be resolved with such things, of course, with due doctor's intervention. So it's not as if you blindly do it without checking up with the doctor, but yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Bridge.
Thank you for the nice discussion,
Yeah.
Shivakami, Bridge, and Satyam. So nice that we are able to have this and take our learning a little beyond what it is.
Actually, just one thing I just wanted to add, like when we say this recycles all materials, I'm just doing it in a small level for an individual villa. This when you're talking about this net zero energy building and net zero water and all these things at macro level, I'm just trying to inculcate in small villas of my known network, reduce waste. Zero waste goes out of that compound, like decomposting and everything. Actually, I'm a learner in that also. I don't know much of the techniques, but I'm improvising day by day.
Okay.
And I'm just teaching that in my known neighborhood, like whoever I'm in contact with.
Okay.
The recycling and this rainwater harvesting also. I'm just trying to do it through schools,
Fine.
the known network I have. Like don't let go of water that falls inside your campus outside. That's small micro level.
Very good point. Yeah, rainwater harvesting has been a big boon in our lives.
Yeah.
Right. To start with, if you remember, it was just for namesake. People just used to put one pipe and say, I'm doing rainwater harvesting. But slowly it has kind of become a little better because the municipal authorities had mandated that every building needs to have it, and people just used to put a pipe and say, I'm doing rainwater harvesting. So, yeah.
It is that seal, RWH, and it's stuck on the building. And when I go and talk to them, they say, yeah, you see the seal is there.
Right.
And
exactly.
when I tell them, but there is a water stagnation, when there is a heavy rainfall, then you need to start it from there. Then you'll be like, yeah, it is there. You have some solution for that. Yeah, it goes like this.
Correct.
And always in the beginning, there's always a difficulty in accepting things.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Even in this, look at the city of Madras right now, you'll get very angry because there is the storm water drains that are being built. So after I read about what is happening in Pakistan, the floods, I'm saying it's okay to have some inconvenience for some time because the stormwater drains hopefully will drain off the water and the city will be safer. Similarly, for flyovers, you get so irritated when the flyovers are being built and the metro station is being built. But ultimately, the metro station will translate to less fuel being used, less cars being used, less pollution. So all of us will have to take some difficulty in the beginning, sacrifice something in order to get something else.
Okay, I think we should wrap up. It's kind of, past our end time. So great.
It's good that we don't, the discussion is nice if people don't want to leave.
Yeah, so I guess we're also nearing the end of the course itself, the NPTEL course as well. So hopefully that will be something.
So, Mini, can I just end with something?
Please, please.
So, just for Sivagami and Bridge and Satyam, who are very interested in systems thinking, there is a beautiful book called The Fifth Discipline by Peter Senge. Fifth Discipline by Peter Senge. Mini, you can put it up. Mini always immediately, she responds by typing it out and all that. I don't have that habit. So in that, I'm learning something which I am not able to get out of my mind. One of the principles, look at all the principles, system thing. One principle is yesterday's solutions are today's problems. The minute I read it, I cannot get it out of my head. So all the solutions we create today are going to become problems tomorrow. Or all the problems that we have today are solutions from yesterday. Look at our own lives. We have created solutions, but the solutions have become, even children, getting children itself is a nice solution. Oh, I can be very happy with, but children themselves become problems after some time, right? Getting a job, traveling somewhere, we want to go to Sweden and work and all that. And then we get into a problem that itself, that solution of going to Sweden and earning money becomes a problem later on because we can't meet our parents, we can't do this, we can't do that. And from the time, and what Peter Senge gives a beautiful example, he says a very rich carpet manufacturer, carpet maker, saw a small blob in the middle of the carpet. So what does he do? He goes and stamps that blob. So that blob goes somewhere else. Again, he stamps it. The blob goes somewhere else. Again, he stamps it. He keeps stamping all over the carpet. The carpet is completely ruined and a small snake goes out of the carpet. So when we try to solve a problem, we actually creating one more problem. Just look at that sentence. Just keep that sentence in your head, and so much of new understanding happens as to why we have a problem. It is we who have created the solution, and the solution becomes a problem. And everything in life, marriage, right? Jobs, eating food, going to a restaurant. Going to a restaurant is a solution of solving family. We want to be together with the family. We come back because we have spent more money. Our stomach has gone for a toss. We get food poisoning, and it goes on and on and on and on. Sorry, I had to. Thanks, Mini, for the time, but I had to share with you. Because it's so powerful to learn from that book. So just look at that book. It's fascinating.
Okay. So if there are no other...
Bridge wants to say.
Oh, thank you,
sorry.
sir. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful book. We'll read it, sir. Yes, sure.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye, Bye, Bridge.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.